as a church and as a state in California, if not the nation and the world, we are still struggling with the pandemic caused by the coronavirus, and that this has disrupted and afflicted the lives of everyone in some measure or another. And we continue to mourn the lives that have been lost, and to pray for those who are sick, who are infected with the virus. And we pray also for everyone who is caring for, particularly healthcare workers who are caring for those who are afflicted and who risk their own health and the health of their families in doing so. We pray that God will protect them. But I also want to acknowledge in a special way all the folks who are working in charities and social service. And this has been a very stressful time. A lot of people out of work, and that will continue to grow. And it has crippled the state and crippled many of our communities in a serious way. A lot of times the intention is on the bigger cities, Los Angeles particularly, and the Silicon Valley, but that there's also an impact on the pandemic in our more rural parts of the area. And I'm just very grateful to Kathy Wyatt, the Executive Director of Northern Valley Catholic Social Services, who has joined me this morning and joined us to talk a little bit about what's going on in some of the more rural parts of the state. Kathy, good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Bishop Soto, and good morning to you. I really appreciate and I'm honored to have this time and have this conversation with you. We are up in the far northern California area, and as you mentioned, it's a pretty remote area, and so the need up here is great.
So, what are some of the realities that you and your coworkers are seeing up in the north?
Well, as you mentioned, the numbers of COVID are not quite as high as they are in some of the more hot spots of the state of California. But what we are experiencing is large numbers of people who have become unemployed or have been furloughed. And that's because they were so marginal to begin with. Pushing them out into unemployment has left them with no safety net and an immediate need for very essential services.
You know, Kathy, I was just reading recently about the governor not only speaking about the response to the COVID-19 pandemic, but also the concern that we are entering into another fire season and the implications that can have, particularly for our rural communities. And I just know that NVCSS has just done heroic efforts in terms of helping the folks with the Camp Fire and also the Carr Fire up in the Redding area, as well as some of the other areas that have been affected by wildfires. And I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about some of the ongoing work in that area.
Sure. So, and thank you for that. We have been continuing to work with survivors of the Carr and Camp Fire, and as you can imagine, when COVID hit, it did nothing but amplify some of the trauma they were already experiencing. So we continue to work with our communities to rebuild, and we are also working through disaster preparedness. As you've mentioned, the fire season doesn't stop just because COVID is here. So through LISTOS and the California campaign, through the governor, we're trying to get the messages out on how, to educate people about what COVID is, how to stay safe. And we're also hitting those populations of folks that may not be in traditional shelters, in homes or in apartments, because if they don't have access to the electronics or to the news, they may be getting misinformation about how to take care of themselves and how to stay safe. So we do have a pretty remarkable team out in our counties, educating and working alongside of those survivors of the fires, as well as folks that are not in traditional housing.
I am very proud of the work that the NVCSS does up in Northern California, and it's just The Catholic population is, proportionately smaller up in the more rural counties, but yet the impact of the Catholic community, and particularly of Catholic charities, is huge and makes a difference in a lot of our small rural communities. And so for that, I'm very grateful to you and to your coworkers. And I just want to say to all our listeners that if you're interested in what NBCSS is doing up in the north, or what any of our Catholic charities are doing to respond to people in need, either because of COVID-19 or or because of the economic downturn that we are experiencing, please go to the website and see the many good things that Catholic Charities is doing and that continues to do because of your support of the annual Catholic Appeal. So may God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.